Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Classic Comics. Well, headlines just keep filtering out regarding DC Studios and the status of the Snyderverse and the actors and what they're going to be doing going forward. A lot of it seems to be coming from this article that was published in the Hollywood Reporter yesterday. Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 not moving forward as DC movies hit turning point. New DC studio heads James Gunn and Peter Safran are in the final stages of prepping their multi-year plan ahead of next week's pivotal presentation to Warner Brothers Discovery CEO David Zaslav. Let's just go ahead and take a look at this. Call it Rebirth or DC Genesis, maybe call it Identity Crisis or Flashpoint. These titles of past DC Comics event series aptly describe the state of Warner Brothers DC movies, which are on the cusp of a new era, but not before a potentially messy transition period. A new cleaning of the slate is common when a new executive team is put in place to run a studio or division, but there's likely little precedent for the amount of Clorox James Gunn and Peter Safran could spray as they prepare to launch DC Studios and guide superhero movies for the next half decade and beyond. The duo in recent days flew back to Los Angeles from Aspen, where they were huddled in deep planning, and now, like holy figures coming down from the mountaintop, have sets of commandments or a DC Bible in hand, or at least a working blueprint. Gunn and Safran are expected to meet next week with David Zaslav, the Warner Brothers Discovery CEO, who is radically reshaping the media company and who hired the duo in October to lead a newly launched film and TV division. The pair will unveil to Zaslav a plan that is expected to lay out their vision, although much of that plan, which insiders paint is still a work in progress and one that has yet to be approved, is being kept deep in the Batcave. Details of several possible paths forward are trickling out, and at least one path not being taken has also been revealed. Multiple sources tell the Hollywood Reporter that Patty Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3 is not moving forward and is considered dead in its current incarnation. Sources say that Jenkins recently submitted her treatment co-written with Jeff Johns, and that Gunn and Safran, as well as Warner Brother Pictures co-chairs and co-CEOs Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy, broke the news to the filmmaker, telling her the project, as it stood, did not fit in with new but still unfolding plans. Jenkins directed and co-wrote the previous two movies starring Gal Gadot and released in 2017 and 2020. No decision has been made about next steps. So, they're not so much saying that it isn't good. They're saying that it doesn't fit in with what we're doing going forward, which would seem to imply that they plan to not have Gal Gadot playing Wonder Woman go forward, would seem to me to be the implication of that. And while costs are not a factor, insiders say that DC Studios will not have any overburdensome financial restrictions. The studio could end up saving tens of millions of dollars by not making the third installment. Gadot, according to sources, was on track for a $20 million payday for Wonder Woman 3, while Jenkins would have received $12 million. Those figures don't even include any possible back-end bonuses. Warner's had no comment. It is unclear how any future Wonder Woman movie and Gadot's portrayal of the hero would fit into the new DC plan. In a bit of head-scratching timing, Gadot tweeted out of the blue a thank you to fans Tuesday, saying she was grateful to be allowed to play the heroine and role model, adding, "I can't wait to share her next chapter with you." It was unclear whether or not the actress knew the project was being toe-tagged, and they're talking about this right here. The rest of the DC slate remains in flux, or at least is being kept in a pocket of Gunn's own utility. But can we please stop with the Batman puns or metaphors, please? They've got it in the Batcave. It's in his utility. Knock it off. But there are several rumors and possible scenarios to consider ahead of next week's meeting. The first, which builds on the shuttering of Jenkins' Wonder Woman 3, is the closing curtain of the Snyderverse, and the heroes cast by filmmaker Zack Snyder for his Justice League. This one sees the shutting down of Man of Steel 2, with a returning Henry Cavill, and having no more Aquaman fronted by Jason Momoa. These characters are to cameo in Flash, the highly anticipated time travel adventure movie that is due to release June 16th. And who wants to bet money that it winds up being pushed back again? Even further. I mean, who wants to bet? Cavill shot his part of the cameo in September, but sources say there is a debate inside the studio as to whether or not to keep the cameo and if its inclusion promises something that the studio would have no plans on delivering. In other words, more Cavill as Superman, which would seem to mean that he's on the way out too. A Warner's insider cautions that no plans have been finalized and that Flash remains an unlocked picture. I get I think unlocked picture is like Hollywood speak for shit show, basically. The Cavill situation is a more than a little thorny as the actor made a cameo in Black Adam, the DC-centric movie released in October. The Monday after the movie opened, Cavill posted a video on Instagram where he announced, "I wanted to make it official, I am back as Superman," which is here, where he posted a video saying he was back, and we all got excited. And at that time, he was not incorrect. Warner Brothers was indeed developing a sequel for 2013's Man of Steel and actively meeting with writers. Andy Muschietti, who directed Flash, even expressed interest in sitting behind the camera for something that would have brought a tone similar to the hopeful and heroic colors of the 1978 movie directed by Richard Donner, considered a benchmark in comic book movies, rightfully so. In fact, the current leadership team at Warner Brothers Pictures, Michael DeLuca and Pamela Abdy, did desire one more go around with the Snyderverse heroes, possibly even having another Justice League movie with those actors. But that was before Gunn and Safran began formulating their new and still in flux plan. Also unlikely is a sequel to Black Adam. Despite the hype surrounding the movie and launching a new corner of DC, a lot of it led by star Dwayne Johnson, the movie has only grossed $385 million worldwide, and insiders at the studio say the movie, which cost more than $190 million to produce, two sources peg the actual cost at $230 million, not even including marketing, will be lucky to break even considering the ancillary revenue. Even if the movie does eke out a minimal profit, any follow-up's inherent rising costs dim the prospect of a sequel. Yeah, I think this is what a lot of it boils down to. I think that Black Adam being basically a flop, and part of the selling of Black Adam was Cavill was back, and he had that little cameo at the end in the mid-credit sequence. Although it generated some excitement online, it really didn't put butts in seats for the movie. And I think that's kind of what a lot of this boils down to. I think if Black Adam had been more successful, then we might not be talking about closing the door on the Snyderverse for good. But I think the failure of that movie to succeed may have just kind of been the last nail in the coffin. Johnson hoped to carve out his own piece of the DC pie, but multiple sources say his playing up of a returning Cavill and his own involvement with DC may not be endearing him to the new management. Yeah, because apparently he wanted to basically make Black Adam like a cornerstone of the DC. He wanted Black Adam to be like DC's Iron Man and be kind of the character they kind of build around. No. Sorry, but that ain't gonna happen. Johnson and Cavill are both managed by Danny Garcia, who is also Johnson's producing partner. The perception of Adam turning a profit or not is a conflagration now being waged in public, with Johnson tweeting the movie would net over $50 million after a Variety story said the movie would lose over $50 million theatrically. And they're talking about this headline here, box office bust, Adam faces theatrical losses. And then in response to that, Dwayne Johnson tweeted this, saying, "Our film will profit between 52 and 72 million." I mean, like, I honestly don't know if the movie will make money or not. Wikipedia had the budget at 200 million. And I mean, if it's in the 190 to 200 million, generally movies have to make about 3 times their budget in order to turn a profit for the studio. Now, if it was, say, 190, that means about 570 million it needs to make. If it was 200, that's about 600 million. I mean, at 570 million, I could see it, I don't know, maybe getting close. I mean, maybe not being a total disaster. Let me put it that way. But if that thing really costs 230 million without even adding the marketing in, there's no way this thing is making money. It's going to be just like a tremendous financial loss for them. They'll be losing hundreds of millions on it. Momoa, meanwhile, could emerge as a pivotal figure in the new plans, according to several sources, and I talked about this yesterday in my other video. In one scenario, the actor would wrap up his days as underwater hero Arthur Curry with Lost City, due out December 25th, 2023. It's not Lost City, it's Lost Kingdom. Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which would be the final movie release that was made by the previous regime. But it would not spell the end of the actor's involvement with DC, with sources saying the actor would lead another movie or franchise. The character of Lobo, a foul-mouthed, cigar-chomping intergalactic bounty hunter, has been mentioned in connection with Momoa. Whether or not Momoa does play everybody's favorite Bastich, Lobo emerging as a rising character early on in the conversation may point to the kinds of characters the Gunn Safran team may be focusing on. The character is an outsider, an anti-hero, and is keeping in line with Gunn's specialty of taking the offbeat and quirky and flipping it into crowd-pleasing fare. Part of the plan would entail a truly fresh start in having no baggage from any previous regimes as they set about resetting how DC movies and shows are made. That, however, does not take into account the possible success of movies such as Shazam! Fury of the Gods in March, on which Safran is a producer, and Blue Beetle in August. Would that plan include forging ahead without the actors who inhabit those characters and recast them even if those movies prove to be box office hits? Observers are convinced the plans call for an interconnected universe, and there's rumblings of the establishment of a creative brain trust. The brain trust may already be rolling in some capacity, as sources say that Safran had in recent weeks been meeting with writers at his Los Angeles home in an effort to hone the presentation, gathering feedback and ideas for the plan. One part that the Gunn Safran agenda seems likely not to touch, at least for now, is the Matt Reeves Batman universe, in which Robert Pattinson dons the cowl of the Caped Crusader. Reeves is writing the sequel to Batman, which opened March 4th. The filmmaker is also overseeing the launch of 2 Batman series that spin out of his movie, including The Penguin. Because we all wanted a Penguin show, right? I mean, you've got the entire DC universe, and you're doing a Penguin show. Yeah, brilliant. So I don't know. I mean, they say things are in flux and all that, but I mean the writing's on the wall. It seems to me that basically this Snyderverse or whatever you want to call the current DCEU is it's on borrowed time. And I guess what Aquaman comes out on Christmas of next year, assuming it doesn't get pushed back again. And that will be it, and then they'll be moving on to something else. And I guess maybe Pattinson's Batman movies can kind of serve as a bridge where they can put out maybe another Batman movie or two while they get everything ready for the next incarnation of the DCU or something like that. Or maybe I'm wrong. Who knows? Maybe they're going to keep these actors around and we'll see them, but just it'll be just not Zack Snyder style or something like that. I've actually got a poll up on the community tab on my channel. Let me know what you think and answer the poll. And what do you think's going to happen? Are they going to full reboot? Are they going to reboot, but they're going to keep the actors in place? Will there be some kind of partial reboot, or are they pretty much just going to keep things as they are? And this is just kind of a minor shuffling and delaying of things. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this and what would you like to see going forward. And also please do like, share, and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications. And I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.